Well, I'm thrilled to introduce our professionals who are going to be sharing a variety of practices today. The subject of reducing expenses will be covered by Britany Vinson. She is the owner of the Tomei Express Cafe and Catering. She operates 2 brick and mortar locations, one in Lufkin as well as one location in Knack on North Street. Additionally, she also operates 14 meal-ready vending machines in Nacogdoches and Lufkin. An overachiever, she holds degrees from SFA, Ashworth University, and the Art Institute of Houston. Please help me welcome the panelists.
All right, did anybody in here happen to play basketball as maybe as a child? Anybody, one person? All right, we come up here real quick, you're going to be So this last year actually marks 20 years since I played basketball at SFA. So I played basketball all 4 years here at SFA. And one of the great things over the last couple of years that I like to do is visual, so that you keep this in here and you can stand right there. So one thing that during COVID, you know, life changed, a lot of different things changed. And so to give you a visual example, when you play basketball, did anybody at least watch basketball, know a little bit about basketball? Okay, so in basketball, you have a couple different options. If you're gonna pass me, when you pass the ball, I have an option I pivot, right? I'm pivoting. When I have a chance to pivot, I can do a couple different things. What different things can I do? You know, once I catch the ball, what options do I have?
Well, you can shoot.
I can shoot, okay, what else?
Oh, you can pass it to
I can
someone
pass it
else.
to somebody else, what else?
You can dribble.
I can dribble, or one more.
It's been a lot of years.
One more thing that you can do once you have the ball. If you get, say if a defender is coming at you, they tie up the ball, what do you need to do?
Call timeout.
Call the timeout, okay? So those are gonna be the 4 different things that you can do. The same thing applies, thank you, that's what I needed, thank you very much. So not too terrible, you're good to go, yes ma'am. So, just to, one thing, how many entrepreneurs do we have in here that, somebody that owns their own business? How many is it? Okay, so half, and then everybody else is a leader of some sort in a corporation or a business office here. Everybody else, is that everybody else here? So regardless of you're an entrepreneur or you're a leader, you are, you have an opportunity where you're at right now to pivot. And so what I want to make sure you understand, whenever you shoot, it's obviously you're going for the goal. You're trying to make 2 points, so you're doing a good job in that. So you're going to rate yourself when we go through this part right here. You're going to rate yourself on the front and the back on this. So it means you're doing a good job in that area. If your dribbling means you need to work on something ASAP, maybe you have a problem area, maybe you have a hole leaking in the business, maybe you heard one of these presentations and you're like, man, I never thought about that. I need to go back and get this handled as soon as possible. You're going to pass. You're going to ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. In all the years I've been for business, like I'm quick to pick up the phone. Mr. Kane helped me a lot when I first started. But pick up and say, hey, I have no idea, Mr. Ron, I had no idea about the net income ratio. Can you explain that to me a little bit better? So it's okay to ask for help. And then last one is to call a timeout. Is to develop, maybe that's something that doesn't need to be fixed right away, but it's okay to take a step back and maybe develop a plan of action. And so just like he said, if you need to, okay, I'm doing good right now, but maybe I do need to go get some more money so that when things go down, I need to go ahead and get a plan. How much money do I need? You need to go back and you need to get calculations. You need to go back, you need to set up an appointment with him. You got to go back and do all the different steps that it requires for you to be able to get that plan in place. And so one thing that's very important as you go into this, even as an entrepreneur, and that's one thing I've been working on myself the last 4 to 5 months, you have to come in with the right mindset, and you have to come on with the openness and the willingness and to give yourself permission to change, so even when you go play basketball, like I have my LeBron James shoes on today, so even if I go play basketball, I'm not going to go grab a pair of high heels to go play basketball, right? If you did that, if you when you were not dressed properly for the job, you didn't have the right mindset to go into business or to go in every day when you go to work to deal with 100 employees, if you don't go in with the right mindset, what happens? It's not good, right? And so a lot of this is give yourself permission to make mistakes, give yourself permission to learn, give yourself permission to grow during this time. And that's one thing, like I'm very hard on myself, and I did not do that for myself starting out. And I've given myself a lot more grace the last couple of years, because you have to realize that you're not going to get it the first time. You're not going to get it the first year. You're not going to get it the first 5 years. You're going to make a mistake and do something wrong where it comes back to bite you in the butt, but you say, okay, I learned from it, okay? So give yourself permission. So that's the first one. The P stands for give yourself permission to make changes. And so I did that in COVID. Whenever I graduated from SFA, my mindset, I went and worked at a restaurant. I worked at Cheddar's for 10 years. After working at Cheddar's for 10 years, I said I never want to work at a restaurant ever again in my life because I hate cooking the same things every day. I hate it. It's the same thing. It's monotonous. You know, I had over 100 employees. Like it never stopped. And I was like, you don't have a life. You only close 2 days a year. And I was like, okay, I don't ever want to do this. So thought I had this brilliant idea. Okay, I'm going to open a catering business. It's flexible. I can cook for me, it's easier. I can cook for 100, 200 people at one time. It's faster for me than cooking for 10 people. And so I had this brilliant idea. We're going to open a catering business. And then guess what happened? COVID came. And so when that happened, we lost 100% of every catering that existed. We had at that time, we had a venue right next door. I remember in March of, I don't remember the year now, everything's such a blur, but March of whenever COVID hit, from all the way until December, we lost 100%. And so in that moment, I had to give myself permission to say, okay, I started as a catering business. Now, okay, I thought outside the box before we built this building. We have a drive-through, we're gonna pivot. We're going to change directions, and not just catering now, we're going to have express. And in the middle of COVID, we got a vending machine. We opened a store, a brick and mortar in Nacogdoches, and so we expounded on something for what we needed. So give yourself permission, because you're going to have to make changes. So when you pivot, you can go different directions, you can change, you can move, but you have to allow yourself, because if you don't, we're hard on ourselves as leaders, as entrepreneurs, then we get stuck. And what happens when you get stuck right here and you don't move?
You get knocked down.
You get knocked down. You get knocked down. You end up closing business. You end up not willing to change with the society, with the times. And so you have to give yourself permission. Number two is be innovative. Think outside the box. What is something, I always thought about this when I was in college, the two things that people always have to have. They have to have a doctor and they have to eat. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna be smart, and I'm gonna, people they have to have food and they have to have medicine, And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go into a food service, I wanna be able to feed people. And so whenever COVID happened, we had a small express menu. And I sat down, we'll go into this later, but I sat down with my leadership team and I said, okay, quitting is not an option. What are we going to do right now to be innovative, to think outside the box, to grow our menu? So we added a salad bar. We added 6 more entrees. We expanded our time for the drive-thru. We added breakfast. We added so many more things because, honestly, I had never even thought about those things because my mind was so focused on catering. So you have to give yourself permission to step out, think outside the box. Just because you've been doing it all these ways this years, or just because your dad did it this way when you came into the business, doesn't mean it's okay. To give yourself permission to think outside the box and try something different. We're in a technology focused world right now, and so paper handouts might not be the best thing. And so if you're used to doing paper handouts because that's what you've always done, does that mean that's the best thing for you right now? Think outside the box, okay? Number 2 is value. The 2 most important things that we have in business are, number 1, the people that work for you, number 2, the people you serve. Without either one of those things, nothing else matters. And so I think we lose sight of that. I'm very guilty of it as well. We lose sight of that and just the busyness of life, the rat wheel of putting our head down. Okay, I'm punching, I turn my alarm off with the snooze button over. Okay, I gotta get up. You're going. But remember that the only 2 things that really matter, no matter what industry you're in, are the people that work with you and the people you serve. That's it. Okay. Number 0, O is open for communication with your team. This is something that I did not do very well prior to COVID. During COVID, I remember pulling up and I said, hey, everybody come here. I'm gonna combine both of those. I was completely transparent with them. I said, hey guys, we just lost 100% of our income, of strict income. Like drive-through was only 30%, maybe 20% of our income. Catering was 70% of it. And so we lost everything. So I was completely transparent, open with them. And they came up with phenomenal ideas because I took the time to communicate with them, show them where I was at, show them I'm a human being. I'm not rich. If you want to go into business, you're not going to be rich. It's not if you want to be rich, just work 8 to 5, work your way that. It's just a lot easier. But those are 2 things that if it wasn't for them, me opening up and being transparent with them, a lot of the ideas that we had and the changes that we made during COVID would have never happened, okay? So I encourage you to take time, okay, kind of rate yourself, okay? What are you doing well on these things? Which one of these do you need to work on? Which one do you need to take a step back? Which one do you need to dribble and take a time out? Which one do you need to reach out and say, hey, I don't really know how to do this, can you teach me? And so I encourage you, as we go into the next one, you're also gonna take those same things, shoot, dribble, pass, call a timeout, and also go through and rate yourself on your vendor relationships. And so I kind of go through this pretty fast, and they've already kind of covered it mostly, but your cost of goods. Every industry is going to be different. For me, it's food, labor, supply. So food for me, I had to sit down and get vendor. I had to sit down with all my Benny Keith, I do U.S. Foods, William George, Sam's. I sat down with all of my reps prior to COVID, and right when COVID hit, and I said, okay, this is where I'm at. I have to have food to be able to run my business, but you cannot continue to charge me what you're charging me. I know food cost is there, but that communication between us, that relationship has got to improve in order for us both to be successful. Because if I stop buying food from you, your percentages of sales goes down, then also it affects your company directly as far as what they are purchased. And so I was completely transparent and open with them. And so that will, in housing market, no matter what you do, banks, no matter what you're doing, nursing, whoever you buy your stuff from, those are your vendors. Those are relationships that you've got to spend time with. Labor, I was completely honest with my team. I said overtime goes away. I said hours will go to those that want to push themselves to multitask, to learn different positions, because we can't afford to have 20 people when we only have this much percentage amount of drive through. So it actually expanded. I saw like my head chef. I saw him. He grew so much more as opposed to him just cooking. He learned how to work the drive-through. He learned how to come in and do other things, how to take orders, how to do other things, because it grew him as a person. And so it's very important. Supply, same thing. You go through, and he talked about that earlier, as you go through and create. I actually, for the first time ever, was the COVID, and it's probably not the best way, but I actually wrote down every single expense that I had, every single expense. And then I went through and I actually rated, okay, I need this, I can't do this, or hey, I don't need this so much anymore, can we check this off? Internet is a good example. Okay, I don't need this high speed, can I go down on this? I can do with this, I can do less with this, and I'm more with this. And so you're asking in those different particular things. And so in those blanks, fill in what are your cost of goods. For every market, for every business, it's going to be completely different. And so we talk about that, vendor relationships. Take time to get to know your vendors, giving them a chance to help solve problems. An example, we tried chicken. We tried frozen chicken. So he said, oh, Britt, you can save money like 30% on chicken if you buy frozen chicken. And so we tried it 1 week, 2 weeks. What happened was, and this is something that he didn't even know this, and so now he's educated, I'm educated as well. I only buy fresh chicken now, because you gotta think about when they freeze the chicken, they do the weight of the ice and the water that melts off the chicken, and I actually end up paying almost double for what I would have paid if I had done fresh chicken. But it was a great idea. We tried it, we worked together, he helped me problem solve, and he said, okay, let's try this, let's maybe move this. One thing I'm not ever gonna exchange is the quality of my food, and so he knows that. Don't give me, it needs to be a better product or just as good of a product that I'm already getting. And so that's something that you have to develop that relationship with them. I treat the vendors as part of the team. If the truck drivers come in, if my rep comes in, they get drinks. Hey, what do you want to eat on your way out? Hey, I'm always making sure that I take care of them, because at the end of the day, they'll remember that. So when you need something, or you need a truck at, like we've had this happen all the time, where we still have all the chicken, and I say, hey, I need my truck early. I need it by 5 a.m. because I need to get chicken. I need to be able to get food to Nacogdoches as soon as possible. Can you come here? Oh yeah, we got you, Britt. We'll be right there. And so they skip the other routes for the other restaurants, which is not good. But I mean, I'm doing my part to take care of them. You take care of me, I'm gonna take care of you, right? It's a two-way street. And so if they don't take care of us, it's not my fault. They don't take care of the drivers. I do, And so they come in, they get something to drink, get something to eat almost every time before they leave, because I want them to remember me when I need something as well. Does that make sense? And so that applies in every industry, no matter what you're doing. My repair guys, when they come in to fix my equipment, my meat, I get my meat from Massenil's Meat Market. Chris, hey, your team is deer season. Your team is going through some stuff. Hey, here's some lunch. Go ahead and take this with you. Feed your team. Tell them thank you for taking my last minute beef tip order last week when I called you last minute, and you guys still pushed it out for me. Take care of their people just like we are, and I think we lose sight of that because without, even if the guy in Dallas that's pulling my truck order, if he's lazy and pulls the wrong catfish for me, and it gets down here and it has scales and all that stuff, and then I'll look bad because it's good. My customers say, oh, why don't you have catfish? We're expecting you to have that on the menu, right? But all the way, because that person didn't do his job, it affects me all the way down here. So when you think about outside the box like that, it's like, okay, who, not necessarily the person in front of you, who down the line do I need to make sure I'm taking care of too? Okay, managing expenses. We kind of already talked about that, but create a detailed spreadsheet for all the expenses that you have, negotiate or eliminate expenses. Negotiation, it goes back into your vendor relationships. Talk to them, okay, me and Chris, we talked about in the beginning of COVID, okay, we use fresh ground beef, so he grounds it fresh for us, and so at one point we were using it, trying to add some fat to it, but whenever I saw it and it cooked off, it decreased the product and the greasiness, and I didn't like it, and so he said, okay, Britt, let's try this blend, and so we messed with different cuts of meat for him to blend together for me to get the perfect kind of mixture of ground beef that I needed for my product, and so you have to go down the line and work with everybody. Involve your team. One thing that's, I think that has been instrumental for me is, I think like my bosses, I come from a franchise background, and so I got paid to learn how to run my own business. And so essentially when I worked at Cheddar's, they put me under their arms, and they taught me along the way. So I encourage you, like when you go to work and you look around, either you're a leader or you're in especially as an entrepreneur, who can you bring up beside you to make them better? Because those are the ones that are going to have your back when you do it. I have two people that we've worked together for almost 18 years, Timmy and Magna. We worked together at Cheddar's too. But one thing that I've seen by involving all of them is that I took this example, like I took $1 from everybody, and we had a team meeting. And so then during COVID as well, I posted prices. Okay, this big old refrigerator that you just kick around every day, that cost me $10,000. You know, this cooler that you just throw out there, you halfway clean, or that mixer that you sit here and yank off, and I got to go buy another part for. That was a $15,000 piece of equipment. That was a $32,000 van that you're not taking care of, and you're pumping wheelies in the drive-through, so running red lights, stop. You know, that's not your money. So I took money and I took $1 from everybody, and I said, okay, that foil pan just fell on the floor. It cost me $1.50 per foil pan. That just fell on the floor. I threw $5 in the trash can. I didn't care. I don't care. I have messed this up, and it's fine. It'll be fine. I'm just gonna throw that piece of plastic in that container in the trash can. Oh, it's fine. I threw another $5 in the trash can. Then I went through and said, I didn't care about that customers. I got to deliver the food too early and it was cold, and I didn't care about it. And Britany, the company, had to refund it because the food was cold. So I threw another $25, $30 in the trash can. I said, hey, how does that feel to see your money going in the trash? Everybody's like, oh, that's not good. I said, well, that's what you do to me when you don't care about my business. And so involving your team and money talks, you know, getting them involved, getting them to understand your business. Like with my leadership team, they see the numbers. They see the numbers of what the business is doing, how good it's doing, with how bad it's doing. And that way they can help you with all of these things, because even us as leaders and us as entrepreneurs, we can't do it all by ourselves. It's stressful as all get out. Me and Garth were just talking about that. And so in order for them to, knowledge is power, you know, so the more knowledge and more you educate them to understand this kind of stuff, the better they are for you, and then they can help you do this. You can't be in there managing your business 110% of the time and watching every person that does everything. And so it's very, very, very important to, just number one, work on yourself, best version of yourself that you can be, and make sure you suit up daily ready for work, whatever it is that you're called to do. And then spiritually, in the Bible it talks about put your armor on every day, and so that is the same thing. And also, but then surround yourself with people that are just as good or better than you, and then bring them with you, mold them and shape them to be better. And then I feel like you'll do well setting your course for 2023.